33, sound 1A through 7. On deck, standby Q actors. Electrics, kill the blue run lights, please. Light Q2 and sound 1A. Go.
From Arizona Theater Company, this is Hang in Focus with your host, Sean Daniels.
As someone that grew up in Arizona, it's a great way for us to share the work that we do worldwide.
And featuring co-host Chanel Bragg.
That is our responsibility, is to reflect what is going on in the world.
Streaming live from the State Theater of Arizona.
Let's do it. Let's really use this moment to re-envision our...
Welcome to Hang in Focus Live with Sean Daniels.
This is the new Arizona Theater Company. I'm just glad that you're here.
On today's show, Sean sits down for a conversation with Milwaukee Bucks ultimate fan and artistic director of Milwaukee Chamber Theater, Brent Hazelton.
That is the most amazing intro we have ever had. If not even for the idea that Alex was cracking up as they were reading the description of, our tough intro. I love it. I love it. Oh, we can't hear you, Chanel. All right. No, not yet. You were there. You were here seconds before we started. All right, she's going to leave and then come back in. Well, while Chanel is figuring that out, let's go ahead and get started, and let's let's go ahead and bring in our main guest for the afternoon, and Chanel will join us when she can. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to meet Brent Hazelton. So go ahead and come on in, sir.
Hi.
There we go. Hello. So, what we'll talk a little bit of trash in a second, but what I want to say first is that, in the American theater, I feel like there is a group of people that I think of as like, the good guys or the good ones, right? Like people that are trying to run their theaters in ethical, smart ways that are nice, that don't drive people into the ground, that say that you can, make quality work and have a family and not break everybody and not, send people away in tears. And I feel like you are one of those people, and like you are really dedicated to a sustainable future for our country and our field. And so I'm just thrilled to have you on here to talk a little bit about your theater in addition to your perpetually losing basketball team.
Right away. Right.
Right.
It was like a total deke on the heels of that incredibly generous introduction to just jam it right between the ribs.
So, Chanel is back. No, we can't hear you. It's like our own little comedy sketch that she comes in and out. Yeah. But first of all, we know a little bit about you, but what is Milwaukee Chamber Theater?
Yeah, so Milwaukee Chamber Theater, we are an SPT company. Our annual operating budget is right around $1 million a year. We do 5 fully staged productions in 2 different theaters here in the Broadway Theater Center in Milwaukee's 3rd Ward, which is a tidy 20-minute walk from the Fiserv Forum where the Milwaukee Bucks play. But the company has, for a long time, sort of prided itself on being a language-rich company. I'm trying to remember, maybe 25 or 30 years, actually had a Shaw Festival at the end of every season, which not many companies do that.
Does that bring in the people of Milwaukee?
Well, it did for a while, I think. But I think the last one was in the early 2000s. And that was a thing that was very near and dear to the founding artistic director, Montgomery Davis. And then Michael Wright took over the company for 15 years. And I was handed it right kind of at the beginning of the pandemic. And I know that resonates with you. I had to figure out how to sort of start reconceiving this company for its next 15, 20, 50 years. Milwaukee is, like many places in the country right now, a very rapidly changing city. Huge demographic shifts, not only culturally and ethnically, but also generationally. And the company, we have a really great opportunity right now to pivot the company to match that shift. The audience is really incredibly open-minded, and are kind of willing to take a ride. I mean, these are people who really like not knowing what the play is before they see it, which is, from a programming perspective, an awesome place to be in, because they'll take a ride and give you a pretty long leash.
You have some materials, right? Just to be able to show us, to talk us through some of the things that you have. Is that correct?
Yeah, I sent some pictures over.
Great. Well,
yeah,
then
I think Alex was playing with those.
We'll play them, and then you can talk us through what it is that we're looking at here.
Yeah. So last season, we mounted a virtual season. Like many other companies, began to make play movies in our theater spaces. One of our key mission points is supporting local artists. So it was really important to us during the pandemic to figure out how we can get some money, and more importantly, some health insurance weeks in the pockets of our local theater community. So we were the first company in the state of Wisconsin actually to be approved by Equity to gather artists to create virtual productions, on the heels of a 7-month collaboration to figure out how to make that happen. But created 4 small virtual productions: Athol Fugard's The Island, The Way She Spoke by Isaac Gomez, Underneath the Lintel by Glenn Berger, and then Larissa Fast Horse's The Thanksgiving Play. Shared those with our audiences between February and May, and finished a subscription season, which felt like a major accomplishment during a pandemic year, and wound up putting about $150,000 total into the pockets of our local community, and right around 100 health insurance weeks. So that felt major. And we started that season with the Milwaukee Black Theater Festival, first annual Milwaukee Black Theater Festival. I had wanted to open my first season as artistic director with a production of Passing Strange, to really, say to the community, a city that is as segregated as Milwaukee is for as long as it has been, my goal is to create a desegregated space in this theater where everybody can have a conversation about how the city can be its best self for everybody who calls it home. And certainly we cannot do that unless all people and parts of this community are represented. So I wanted to make a really strong affirmative statement right away with Passing Strange, which would have been not only the largest production in the company's history, but also absolutely the most expensive by at least double, to say, we're not just talking about it, we're actually doing it. And more than doing it, we're investing resources into it. And when the pandemic happened, that couldn't happen. So we still, had all those impulses to connect with the community that way. And particularly in that spring, as the murders of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery were sort of coalescing the social justice conversation, really felt like a deep need to respond to that moment as a theater maker. So got together with a couple of close local artists and just thought, what do we do? We're in a pandemic. We can't really produce the way we normally would. I have this impulse. How do you all feel? And decided that let's put up a festival and let's see if we can make it an annual thing. Because, for a city that is over 40% Black identifying as Milwaukee is, the representation of that community in sort of Milwaukee's mainstream professional theater is really painfully small. Right. So trying to create a space and to create an event that could have a lot of critical mass around it and grow. It had a really great first year. It was all virtual. We did 3 readings of full-length plays and then surrounded that with another 3.5 hours of virtual content from local Black artists and community leaders, either expanding the themes of the play in conversation or in other art, and are really excited about doing it in person for the first time now with the second annual festival, which is coming up really quickly in August, which will be 2 productions of small cast plays. Charlene Woodard's Pretty Fire by a company called Lights, Camera, Soul, and then a company called Brownsville Arts Ensemble is creating an original play about the experiences of women in Milwaukee. So we'll do a workshop reading of that, a couple other readings of shows in development, and it'll be the first theater event in person of the 21-22 season here in Milwaukee. So we're super excited about that. This is an image of the title cards for our Season's Greetings from MCT project, which is sort of a virtual Christmas card for our audiences. just basically gave cameras to half a dozen local artists and said, what are your holiday traditions? Create something virtual around that we can share with our audiences. So we got everything from a 15-minute collection of Hanukkah home movies to a full, nearly unabridged 2.5-hour audiobook version of A Christmas Carol by a longtime Scrooge from Milwaukee Repertory Theater's production of that show, and shared them with the community, and was really, really well received. Tried to touch on as many different cultural traditions as possible of folks in our community, and was also another great way to get everybody a little bit more income and a few more health insurance weeks.
That's I see. I think now, right? People that are watching can see what I'm talking about. Like, you're really putting the artists and the community first, right? And we there are some real horror stories in our field about artistic directors who canceled productions by email or disappeared, or just kind of didn't really take care of the people that make either our community go or make our theaters go, right? And so what I've so admired about you is, you're a great example of, like, you don't have to be the biggest theater in town to make sure that you have a deep impact and to make sure that people know that they're cared for, right? And just thing after thing you're talking about displays that and lets people know, like, you're dedicated to your local community. And 100 hours of insurance weeks, for people that don't know, if you're an actor, you have to have a certain amount of insurance weeks to be able to continue to keep your insurance, right? So don't get injured and don't have a baby. Just keep working as long as you can to be able to keep those weeks going. And so, like, my wife is an actor, and she lost her health insurance during the pandemic, right? Because if there's no contracts to be offered, it's hard then to get contracts to keep your week going. So the fact that you were doing that is huge, right? And life-changing.
Yeah. Wait, we have audio.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes!
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Oh, I love live theater.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's live. It's like, this is what happens, right?
Opening a show with no tech. It's great.
That's right.
My goodness. I troubleshot. I was having some sound difficulty. So hello, everybody, and welcome to Hang and Focus. All right, catch me up. Where are we at?
Brent is talking us through his amazing series of programming that they still were able to pull off even during the pandemic.
Yes.
And so what we're looking at now is the title card advertising postcard for our Young Playwrights Festival, which is something we've done for almost 20 years now as a company on a roughly every other year basis, where our teaching artists will go out into community schools and teach students how to write a one-act play. That workshop cycle will go on for a year. Then the past 2 years worth of plays will sort of get put into a hopper. A group of community leaders and artists will read them, pick 6. We produce 3 of them, and we do readings of 3 of them. So for a lot of these high school aged writers, it's their first full professional production of a play. And yeah, I mean, the stuff that I read these plays and I'm like, why couldn't I do that when I was 16? Just the not even so much the craft or the skill, but just the depth of the worldview that these kids are bringing to the work right now is really amazing. I mean, one of these plays was about the priest who was Fidel Castro's teacher growing up, and how, what sort of this priest wrestling with, like, what is my obligation to educating this person who destroyed a large part of this country that I love, and have I in fact done that through, and it's like a 16-year-old wrestling with this, I mean, just these amazing ideas. So we're super, super proud to support that. Yeah, and that's an entry-level project. So a lot of emerging professional actors and artists and designers. These are the headshots of every artist that we worked with last season. From the equity folks to those young playwrights folks to everybody involved in Season's Greetings to that first annual Milwaukee Black Theater Festival. Just such a delightful group of human beings.
That's great. That's great. Is that our last photo there? Oh, wonderful.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me share that stuff. I appreciate it.
That's phenomenal.
Fun to look back on.
Well, and I don't know how you feel, but I think a lot of us are dealing with kind of exhaustion and depression at this point. And you're trying to figure out like, why am I so exhausted now when we're finally getting back everything that we have been asked for? And kind of what you realize is like, because we were like bailing water like mad for 16 months with no clear idea of where it was going, right? And making up festivals and making up programming and figuring out opportunities and bringing artists in. And, so at some point, everyone's like, are you ready to go back? And you're like, oh my God, I have to go lie down. Like you think that we just turned the lights off for 16 months, but we've never worked harder to be able to. And you're like me, right? You took over right before the pandemic started. So you don't even have that runway in terms of knowing how things work on a normal time.
No, really. I mean, just sort of literally got to the point where we were launching our season. So did the season announcement, then went on vacation to Arizona for a couple weeks, and then flew back to Milwaukee on March 10th. And then March 12th, we realized, this is going to be a big problem. And just since then has been kind of nonstop. And the thing for me, because I have this, like, I'm getting plenty of sleep. I'm getting plenty of rest. I'm not exercising as much as I should be yet, but we're trying to carve out the time for that. But like, why am I so exhausted? And the challenge I'm having right now is having put my brain into that space for 15 or 16 months where literally every minute is highest possible tension crisis.
Yeah.
And my brain is now conditioned to expect that to happen. Like even sitting here having this conversation right now, right in the back of my brain is this little weird like RAM process running about like all the things that are probably on fire somewhere right now. And like, there's nothing, it's okay. But the energy of trying to get my brain out of that space is really exhausting.
Yeah, no, we've started like production meetings, we've started having workshops and stuff, and it's hard to be present in each of those meetings because your brain is taught like, we got to put out fires in 4 places. We got to see, I got to be raising money. I have
to be doing all the things right now.
That's right. To be able to do it and get back to them. And so it's like, even though that's not the case anymore, and it was the case at one point, right? So it's not like we're all just false, but like, how do we downshift now to be able to return to a sustainable place so we don't all get our theaters back open and then all burn out at the same moment? We're getting through it.
Yeah. No, and that's a really an unanswerable question, and one that we have to figure out really soon. Otherwise, this sort of recovery season that we're all in right now is gonna do more damage than the one we just in theory came out of.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about Chanel's hat first of all. Let's
do.
Chanel, can you show off what your hat is?
I absolutely can. So what's really exciting is, remember when I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago? Well, I was in Mexico, and so this is what I bought on a beach in Mexico. Check it out. Can you see that it says Phoenix Suns?
Yeah.
I have 2 basketballs on the sides of my head, and I couldn't be prouder than to wear this ridiculous hat.
And I love that you got it on a beach in Mexico, not endorsed by the NBA in any way. No, just somebody who wanted to make a hat, had the right audience for it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me in trouble with copyright. But no, I literally bought it off of a wonderful individual, and they had a ton of different hats. So I almost got one for my football team too, but I didn't. I was like, okay, we'll stop at the Suns. Also, because I'm so proud of the Suns. I haven't been this excited about the Suns since like 96. Let's be real. So I'm really excited about repping them. But I borrowed this hat. I bought this hat from my roommate. And so I was like, I'm jacking this hat for this presentation. So I'm a little bit of a poser, but I am a Suns fan by proxy of me being a local girl.
Well, but let's be real. It's been hard to be a Suns fan like that. You got to be really, really dedicated to it. I
was a Spurs fan for a really long time.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh.
But I mean, kind of who wasn't, right? Like that Spurs team is.
Especially during the Duncan era. I was like,
yeah.
Of course. So, yeah. But I love the
Suns. So Brent, how did you become a Bucks fan? Where did this?
Oh gosh, we were talking about a little bit about this before we jumped on, but in Wisconsin, sports are a very big part of regular everyday culture because there's often not a ton else to occupy yourself with for large parts of the year when it's cold and you can't go outside and you're just sitting inside watching things. And also, the very significant tavern and bar culture here too. I think, you're going to go sit at the bar and watch a game. I mean, it's so in our DNA.
Right.
So, I think this particular team, because it's my team, because I was born here, and for whatever reason didn't reject the hometown team as a teenager. But I like the game so much. There is something so beautifully free flowing to it when it is played at its apex. And I love the way the individual personalities of the players come through in their games. Right. I mean, it's different than baseball where you sort of like, it's a human level game and you just see people's personalities because they spend the whole game like kind of hanging out and talking to each other. And football, you can sort of getting to the point now as the rules are loosening where there's a little more of that sort of jazz improv coming into it at an individual player's level. But the human conflict of basketball, I'm putting in sort of theater terms, is so much more profound and apparent than any other sport. I mean, they wear no protective equipment. They
Right.
are in immediate proximity to one another. It's played when it's played right at an insanely fast pace. And there's something incredibly breathtaking about it when it's done right and done well. I don't know. It's a truly, truly beautiful game. And I will say at this moment, so I just got a text message from our managing director, Amy Sallet, who, you want to talk about a tough gig. I mean, she parachuted into that job in May of the pandemic as a first-time managing director ever, and has been brilliant and amazing. But so right across down the block from us is the Journeyman Hotel, which is like this new sort of Kimpton boutique hotel where all the NBA teams stay now. Literally down the block. And her text message just said, "Tons of Suns branded folks loading into the Journeyman right now with a police escort. So your team's here."
They made it. That's good.
Your team's here.
They made it. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They didn't call to tell you, but I'm calling to tell you your team made it. And there's like, literally, if I could stick my head out the window and like look down the alley right here, I could probably see their bus unloading.
Well,
That is incredible.
What I think is true that you said that is true about the sports that I love, and similar to theater, is that I love things that are an individual sport, but ultimately a team sport, right? That you have which I think is why, like I love in baseball, like it's a team, but you have to at one point get up just on your own and figure out if you can hit the ball. But in basketball, it's like it's just a team sport. I mean, like you can try to score a lot, but if the rest of the team isn't there, and I love that. That's about theater also, right? It's like you're a great director, but the actors are crappy. No, nobody cares. It doesn't work out. No. The acting is great, but the lighting design is terrible. Well, then no one can see you, right? It's like you have to be a great individual and you have to be a team player at the same time to be able to make it work. And so, the Michael Jordans of the world don't happen unless he has, right, Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and all these other people who are part of it, even if they're not on his level, right? Without that.
Yeah. No, you need role players all across the board.
Yeah.
It just has to be. But, the thing you're saying interestingly about, a director and subpar actors, interestingly enough, I think a really great group of actors can overcome a subpar director.
That's right.
Which, depending on how you feel about the Milwaukee Bucks right now, is maybe the experience you're having watching this team play. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I love, the thing I'm actually loving the most about this conversation right now is I feel like I've been for the past 20 years, like proselytizing the parallels between sports and theater and having people from both worlds look at me like I had 6 eyes and just needed to go away. So I'm feeling very seen right now.
Yeah. Well, like I'm great friends with Christopher Diaz, and we always talk about like how like sports is great narratives, right? Yep. And actually, if you watch the Olympics, right, everything that they do will be story. Everything they do is tell you the backstory of every player and how they got there. Like they don't just show you the swim meet; they walk you through, right? So it's all about story. And for the Suns, right? We have a head coach who lost his wife, and so the team was there for him. And we have a player who is maybe the most prolific Mexican-American basketball player to ever play the game, right? And so these are like that's a story, that's a narrative, right? That is just the same as in theater, where like, oh, once you know that. And then like I told my wife, I was like, oh, and he's also dating Kylie Jenner. And so suddenly she's much more interested.
There's the engagement.
Which one is it?
Not that.
Yeah. She was like, oh, yeah, he's young, and so, but it's like, but that's all story, right? Sports are great at telling story, at building narrative. Whoever wins this series, right, their town will have won for, a first time in forever and forever. And I remember when the Cubs won for the first time, right? And there were all these stories of like men in graveyards, like finding their father's tombs to let them know that the Cubs finally won, right? And it's like, it's very moving, and it's a great narrative, and sports are great at storytelling, which is what we're supposed to also be great at.
Well,
right?
And the thing that they're great at, I think, in many ways, that we are always trying to do, right, is establish this baseline where everybody walking in the door knows the given circumstances.
Right.
Right. And everybody has a deep understanding of the stakes.
Right.
And, it's so simple and easy, and win-lose. And if that emotional investment is there, you're bringing that into the building, and I guess for me in theater, that's the thing I'm always trying to, without taking sort of a reductive position where you're diminishing everything to a sort of lowest common denominator perspective. But how do we prepare an audience? How do we tell our stories in such a way that everybody's walking into the room with that very clear set of given circumstances, right? Like they're walking in the room ready to root for something. So as soon as something happens on stage, they're immediately like, oh, great, I'm in. I understand how this relates to whatever my interest is, and take me on this journey,
But I also think it's about experiences also, because like, again, I know I said I was a Spurs fan earlier, but I loved working. So I worked for the stadium for many, many years. And then when you work at one stadium, you work at all of them. So I would rotate between the Diamondbacks and the Suns, and then like certain performance venues. So I got to see like Josh Groban and the Wiggles and stuff like that. That's ridiculous, but fun. The Wiggles, right? Oh my God. But what I love the most about the experience, though, is especially the people that would come. You have your regulars, like you have your season subscribers or whatnot, or your donors. You have your season ticket holders that are the same, kind of people essentially, and that like bond with you like a family, and like ask you about the latest merchandise that's coming out, and then they have such great pride, and they're really interested in like wearing the garb and having these personal, deep relationships. Like I remember my very first concert I ever went to was Janet Jackson at the America West Arena, because a season ticket holder was like, I'm getting too old to take my daughter to concerts. And I was the girl at the team shop, and she's like, will you take my daughter to see Janet Jackson? And I was like, I will absolutely sit 8th row and take your daughter to see Janet Jackson. So it's just really interesting how many jobs sports arenas really do offer and give to the community. And it's just, I don't know, I have a big love affair for working in sports franchises, because I did it for all of my high school, career, and a little bit into college too. Actually, it paid for my first 2 years of college, because the World Series, we got such high commission that I was able to pay for my first years of college right out. So shout out to teams and franchises and all the work that you're giving to everyone that works in the arena, whether it's in concessions or it's in team shop, because that's how a lot of us made our livelihood.
Well, and one thing that we hit upon when we were thinking about like, how do we talk about the work that we do, right, is that the sports metaphor, right? We say, if you love spring training in Arizona, then you should love New Plays, right? Because it is, you're going to see the artists that the rest of the world is going to see before anybody else for a fraction of the cost, 10 feet away from them. And you can see them now, or you can wait and pay $200 when the tour comes through and it's not even them. It's like what they originated, and they're able to do it. And I think once we started talking in that way about it, people were like, oh yeah, oh, that is what we're doing. Oh, you're right. We don't have to dictate. New York doesn't have to dictate to what culture is, right? We can start here, we can create it. You can have your fingerprints on it. and then it goes elsewhere. So I think, yeah, there's so many positives that we often don't look at the ways that we're similar.
For sure. Now, I want to transition us into some interesting, fun conversation about attending in the arena, because Brent sent us so many great pictures of you inside of a stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And then Sean was inside of a stadium just last week?
So
was it last week?
So
Yeah.
we'll talk about this more. I'm part of a text message chain gang of we all watch the shows individually and we pace and we text each other. And mostly we text each other what is happening, over and over again. To put that angst, and we're just what is going on, and part of it's Kimberly Senior, Jesse Sanchez, and Marco Ramirez are our group to be able to do it.
Nice.
And so just randomly, when we found out it was going to be the Clippers, Marco was like, "Could you get here this Saturday if I could get tickets?" And I was like, "Yes, of course." Right. So somehow he used his Marvel connections or just his Marvel money to be able to get tickets to it. Yeah. And I was able to go, and we had amazing seats to watch them barely beat the Clippers.
That was a great game.
It was a great game. Yeah.
That's exciting.
So what was your most interesting, so this is the question for the both of you, and I'll share my story afterward. What was the most interesting experience you've had in an arena as of yet? And it could be anything that happened, someone streaked across the field, anyone.
So, so this is what I think of. This is maybe more sad than funny. But when I used to go with my dad to Suns games, he would stop at each level going up, because when he went with his dad had heart problems, so they would have to stop at every level. And then once his dad had passed away, he was like, "No, we keep the tradition going. We stop at the top level of each one going up." And so you're like, "Oh yeah, that's part of the narrative that gets passed on."
That's beautiful, Sean. My story is going to look very insensitive.
No. I wish it was fun, but that's the first one that comes to mind.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's really sweet. I mean, my brother and I sort of have a tradition of going to Bucks playoff games, which is great. I guess, I don't know, interesting or compelling. The first thing that comes to my mind, the Bucks. The in-arena experience during a Bucks game is amazing. There's always some sort of, every time there's a stoppage of play, there's some sort of game or contest or thing going on. And it got to the point where they would actually give you the run sheet before the game, right? In the last 2 minutes before tip-off, they'd be like, "Okay, at the first TV timeout in the first quarter, we're doing the beanbag toss. And then at the second one, the dunk guys are coming out." Always between the third and the fourth quarters, they do, this t-shirt giveaway. And the t-shirt giveaway mechanism is the world's largest t-shirt cannon, which is a t-shirt Gatling gun, powered by compressed air. So it's this enormous circle just filled with sleeved PVC tubes that have t-shirts in them, and it just circles around, and there are 3 little compressed air shooters in it, and it's probably 10 feet across and 10 feet tall. And the Mask Bango, the best mascot in the league, rides the thing, and they just twirl it and just fill the arena with t-shirts. It's the best and worst of America simultaneously.
I know. I want to be the person that designed it. How cool
it's a cool thing.
How many shirts does it let out at one time?
Oh, I mean, 60. It's insane. I mean, it just goes and goes and goes. I mean, there's enough that they can put it in the center court and rotate it completely in a circle, and it will throw stuff all across the arena.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well,
wow.
Alex, check you out.
And that's the old one. The new one is even bigger than that. But Alex, that is
amazing.
This is tremendous.
That's huge. I mean, just the fact that that's wheeled out and shot at high speed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
I want to give it up for Alex, our stage manager, who's incredible and was able to provide that on the fly. So thank you very much. Okay, so I've had a lot of experiences in an arena, obviously, because I worked in one. But one that comes to mind is when I was working for the WNB. I was kind of working / visiting the WNBA. And so they have their mascot, which is like not a real looking mascot. I think his name was like Sprocket or like something wild like that. And so one day Sprocket was like hanging out. And if it's not Sprocket, to my Arizona peeps, please forgive me. But it was like hanging out on the middle bars, that separate all the seats. And they decided to do a balancing act on top of the bar. And I just remember sitting being like, this is not going to end well. And this was before like cell phones and everything, right? It was a long time ago. And so I just sat there and I kid you not, this sweet dinosaur looking whatever it is, just like fell the wrong way and the bar hit their midsection and they just like slowly slid to the ground. And I never laughed harder in my whole life. And then I was like, was that planned? I don't know if that was planned. And then the poor Sprocket like literally limped all the way back to the locker rooms and did not come back. So I'm pretty sure. I don't know if any baby Sprockets will be born at this point because of what happened, but I just felt really terrible for that poor actor in that costume.
Mascot down.
Yeah.
Mascot down.
I got to say, one of my favorite things about the Phoenix Suns is that our mascot in the 80s was essentially like a gorilla.
Is it not the gorilla anymore?
It still is.
Still the gorilla.
You used the past tense. I got scared.
Well, it was like a party store gorilla. It was clearly like an unemployed actor who was sweating profusely in like in a gorilla outfit where you could see the line like around his neck, where it separated the gorilla head from the body. And I feel like when I was most recently there, the costume is like a little bit better, but not much. In 40 years, we really have just said like, we're kind of a crummy gorilla. And it has nothing to do with Phoenix. It has nothing to do with the Suns. It has nothing to do with, like a Diamondback or none of these things. It's just, we're just going to go with it. Someone had a gorilla costume at the beginning and we ran with it. And now we're stuck. Yeah.
You always wonder how they come up with the mascots. What about Mr. Baseball? I think you had a funny story, Sean, about Mr. Baseball.
I have a friend who's amazing who was Mr. Baseball in Atlanta. And he said the one consistent thing about walking around with a giant baseball on your head is that every single game, somebody tried to fight him. Some drunk guy would try to start a fight with Mr. Baseball. And always the guy would be like, I'm going to wait for you after the game and I'm going to be there. And he said always he would leave at the end and there would be some like drunk surly guy waiting outside of Turner Field, like waiting to fight, thinking that he would wear the baseball head home or be carrying it with him. So he would always like walk right past the guy because the guy wouldn't know who he was. But apparently, yeah, if you're a mascot, you have to learn how to like fight off like drunken guys because it is always
that is hysterical.
This is amazing.
Well, I definitely give, though, a lot of respect to our mascots, considering, especially in Arizona, as hot as it is, be in full garb. I couldn't imagine. My girlfriend used to be the Red Robin Cardinal, or the Red Robin, and she would have to take her breaks in the freezer because it was so hot. So she would take off her Red Robin hat and just sit, shout out to my best friend who's probably watching, I'm sure, and literally sit in the freezer and cool off. And so I just have so much respect for our mascots and how hard they work. But I would definitely think the Bucks outfit seems a little bit more breathable than the gorilla outfit.
Yeah, no, we invest in Bango. I mean, that's a real thing. And there's different versions. He's got different outfits. There's different size Bangos. I mean, one of the cool things about when the Bucks win, pre-COVID, of course, we're not doing this now, but you have like, actual real Bango, and out onto the court come like, the little inflatable, like you stand inside them and they sort of bop around. 5 different sized Bangos come running out onto the court to celebrate with real Bango, and there's like a Bango blimp that flies around the arena, and it's just like it's Yeah, no, we have gone all in on Bango.
That is incredible.
Sometimes our gorilla gets an orange shirt. That's it. That's the only thing that happens.
But look, the gorilla's awesome. I mean, I remember in the 90s when I really got deeply invested into basketball, my little brother and I. He was a huge Suns fan, so we watched, a lot of Suns games. And they were great, so there were a lot of them on TV. But the gorilla and Bango and the Charlotte Hornet, like those were the mascots.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
And now the Charlotte Hornet is wherever, but we still have Bango and the gorilla. So just another fitting reason why these two teams are playing in the finals.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the gorilla dunks better than any other mascot.
Bango's pretty great at dunking. I mean, here's a tale. One time, Bango got so high and dunked that he actually came down through the rim, and Bango tore his ACL. So for the rest of the season, Bango was Bango in a knee brace. And this was when, Bango used to, at the start of games, Bango used to rappel down from the ceiling of the Bradley Center to center, from the ceiling to center court. And hobbled Bango still did that in a knee brace. So
okay, that's impressive.
Yeah. No, Bango's a gangster, straight.
Clearly, straight up.
Yeah.
I appreciate though that they didn't get a different performer. They were like, nope, it's still the same.
Yeah.
Same.
Or who knows? Maybe it was a different dude. They just threw a knee brace on Bango to make us think oh, Bango's actually injured. Who knows?
That's right. That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, so before we play our game, because this is so amazing, we're going to run out of time. I do want to play these videos from the rest of my text group.
Yes. Yes.
They wanted, and they couldn't be here because I guess they have real theater to do. And that truly, they were like, Sean, I'm in rehearsal. And I was like, oh, sorry, send something. So they wanted to send videos in. So let's go ahead and play one or both of these videos so that you can hear from fellow theater people that are Suns obsessed.
I love it.
The series doesn't start until the Bucks lose a home game. However, Suns in 4, Giannis to the Warriors.
There we go.
None of those statements are true.
I know. All right, and then now let's play.
All right, coming at you from outside the Goodman Theater in Chicago to talk to you about why I'm a Suns fan, which kind of has to do with theater too, right? It's about, look, as long as we saw last night, just typical Suns, right? So you have Chris Paul being control. When Chris Paul's in control of the game from inside of the game, we're unstoppable because the team plays like an ensemble. I'm sure some people have hot nights and some people don't. Jay Crowder was hitting threes last night and not in the other game, but that's okay because everybody on that team is amazing. When Chris Paul's acting like the immune system of that team from the inside of the body, right? You've got Monty who's dealing with the body as a whole, and Chris Paul's inside making sure all the organs are functioning at the top of their game. And I feel like it's a very different mentality about how basketball works, which seems to me so founded on the idea of this depending on this star to drop 60 points. And sure, Devin Booker can do that or whatever, but the team isn't dependent upon that. And even when we saw, we've seen players go out of games, and a lot of these teams we beat, and I hate when people say oh, well, if, Giannis doesn't play, of course you're going to win, or, oh, Anthony Davis, was down, or, oh, Jokic. It's well, why is your team dependent on one person? That's what I feel about that. So I wish I was there for this podcast so we could be in conversation, but it's my 2 cents on the Suns, the ensemble playing of the Phoenix Suns. Let's go all the way.
Oh, I love that. I also love that you tried to bring your posse to this podcast.
That's right. That's right. To get
with no warning. I'm going to show up all good natured. Come be on our show. We'll talk basketball. Sure. Here's my allies I have brought with me. That's a classy move. That's really great.
Yeah.
No, but I love what Kimberly said about just that ensemble nature, right? Because that is the other thing I think that the 90s were really awful for basketball. The Knicks and what Pat Riley has done to basketball is, I don't know why we still say nice things about Pat Riley. But one of the things that I really appreciated about the Suns is they were the antithesis of that Knicks team in the 90s. It was fast paced, it was free flowing, and they sort of held on to that identity for a really, really long time. But the thing I love the most, and you will, I promise you will see it in games 3 and 4, is the Bucks also functioning as that ensemble. And that's the thing that I'm most excited about this series is it's 2 teams.
Right.
It's not like LeBron and a bunch of role players. Like it's 2 teams. And if they don't play as a team, they don't win. Right. Which, I love that as a metaphor for, well, life and society, but particularly theater. It's very affirming. It's like when the Adelman Kings were good, like this is beautiful basketball. Let's validate this. Let's make this a thing.
That is incredible.
Also, Kimberly Senior's just cool. So I delight
so cool coming at you live from Chicago. And then Jesse was in Oregon, right?
Nice.
He's in a tech at OSF. Yeah.
Nice.
So you're getting all this love and all this backup from all over across the nation.
Sensational.
Yeah. Well, but it's totally true because the Suns won last night, but Chris Paul did not have a good game. Right.
Well, he didn't have a good shooting game.
Yeah.
Right. Because the thing that Chris Paul is doing right now that is beating us is it's exactly as Kimberly said. Chris Paul is controlling the tempo of the game from inside the game. And we're not good at adjusting to variances in tempo, right? We're very used to dictating, playing at our own pace. Right. We are not a half-court team. And Chris Paul is really turning this into a half-court series, except in those weird moments where suddenly the pace is pushed and we can't react to it because we've been lulled into this half-court pace. I mean, it's next level stuff that only a few people in a generation can really do. It's breathtaking to watch.
So we have an actress who's going to play Lizzie for us in our Christmas at Pemberley, and her name is Alexis Bronkovich, and she kind of is that player coach, because as the director, you're I'm setting the plays, but you're not there backstage before the show, and she's the one that's everyone huddle up. This is what we're going to focus on today. You know what I mean? She's that same thing where she's in the game with them all. Yeah. She's, she knows the pace is going a little slow. And so from inside can, in the wings, get everyone to move along. And it's oh my God, you realize coaching is one thing, but having that person who's inside it, who's moving it along, who is, knows how everybody is. You're right. And he didn't score a lot, right? But if he's leading, then they're all doing great, right? And all these people, and that's the thing, right? With the Suns is that even when their superstars don't have big games, suddenly other people do. Suddenly people you've never heard of before, step up.
Well, I think it's a perfect transition as we only have 15 minutes left.
I know. We got to do it.
So we're going to play a game of virtual horse. So for anybody that's watching, if you've ever played b-ball, which I used to a long time ago, very long time ago, I used to play horse. So for anyone that knows what horse is, horse is where you shoot. Well, you choose who goes first. In this case, we have home court advantage, so Sean goes first. But what you do is you basically would shoot. And then if you made it, then the next person would have to emulate the exact same shot that you shoot. But we're going to change that a little bit. And so for our game of horse, we are actually going to ask trivia questions. And so if you answer the trivia questions, great, then you advance to the next question. If you fail, though, then you will be given a letter. First person to get to spell horse is the loser, and the other person remains the victor. Are you ready?
Oh, let's do this.
I'm ready. I don't know a lot of trivia, so this is going to be a short game, but I'm ready.
But I have a special twist. So I will have Brent answer only questions related to the Phoenix Suns, and Sean answer questions only related to the Bucks.
Great.
Let's have it.
Okay, I can't wait to see how terrible you guys do.
Okay.
Okay, so this is first for Sean. What is the Bucks team mascot? And do you know their name? And if you've been listening, Brent has been sharing that name.
I gave this to you in a 10-minute monologue.
I know, but I got but I don't know the act I don't know the name of it. I know what he's been saying the whole time, but I don't. I know it's a buck, right?
Right. Okay, so that's half the point.
And the name is Beto. I don't know.
Lose.
Yeah.
No,
I'm out.
but you got half of it. You got half of it. So you're still in the game.
Okay, good.
Because
Generous scorekeeper. Wow.
Well, he's my boss. No, I'm
No,
joking.
I get it. I respect the relationship.
Respect relationship. Oh no, just kidding. So Brent, what is the Phoenix Suns team mascot and the name?
Yeah, I mean, it's a gorilla, but the name, I mean, it's just the gorilla, right?
It is not.
Oh, it actually has a name?
It has a name. The name is Go the Gorilla.
Wow.
But
never was I getting that.
So I feel like we're the same, right?
Yeah,
like,
we're there.
You're totally same. You're totally same. So we're gonna keep going. Good job though. And it's Bango.
Oh, Bango. Right. All right.
Yes. All right.
Oh, I also gave you this answer too. Huh, okay.
In what arena does the teams play? What is the name of the arena in Milwaukee?
Is it the Forum?
I think I might have to give you half that point.
That's half of it, yeah. Yeah.
Is it a corporate name?
Yes.
Oh. Then yeah.
But the Forum is pretty good. I feel like I may give that to you. Okay, and to Brent.
Yes. So this is the one I always think, and I said before in the beginning, like I'm never going to get this in a million years because I always get it wrong and I can never think of what the right one is. But I did think of the right one. It is Talking Stick Resort Arena.
Well, you would have been right had this been last year.
Oh, is it new?
Yes.
Oh, I felt so good about myself.
Oh, I know you did. It is actually just in 2020 was changed to the PHX or the Phoenix Arena.
Okay.
That's just what it's called now.
I mean, that's way better than Talking Stick, though, honestly.
But it's also like Talking Stick is still there. Like those words are still out. Like it's still outside. Like when you walk by.
Right, that is true. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you, and I'll give.
I really love the generous scoring here. This is really.
I'm just a very generous person. Okay, great. So, this is to Sean. What is Milwaukee's state slogan? Milwaukee is the state.
The beer and cheese state.
That's actually a really good guess, I think, but that is not accurate.
Wow.
That is America's Dairyland.
Well, that's how you get, right? Beer and cheese, right?
That is how you get the cheese, but you get an H.
Okay, all right. All right.
And for you, Brent, I'm keeping score. What is our state slogan in Arizona?
I'm the Sunshine State?
Oh, it is not. It is the Grand Canyon State.
Okay.
So both of you now have H's. Oh, this is so great.
We are the recount state. That is our actual. we are gonna keep counting the votes until we get one.
Forever and ever and
ever.
Is
so true. Okay.
Yeah.
The next question. When were the teams founded, Sean?
So I don't know the exact answer, but I know what's cool about it is because we came into the league at the same time. And there was a coin flip to decide who got the first pick, and we lost. So I'm going to say 1968.
Okay. And Brent, what is your answer since it's the same year?
Yeah, founded 68, first season concluded 69.
You both are accurate.
Yeah. Oh.
1968. Good job.
Yeah.
All right. Next slide. For Sean, what year did the Bucks reach their first NBA final?
I'm gonna say, 71. I'm gonna say 71.
Slay! Good job, Sean. Okay. And what year did the Phoenix Suns reach their first NBA final?
1993.
Wrong.
Oh,
1976. You have now earned yourself an O.
really?
1976.
So this is
I
our
had no idea.
This is our third time in it, but we've never
Wow.
won.
Okay. I
Awesome,
thought it was the
awesome.
second trip. All right. I will walk away educated.
You-
No, I know. I learned about Bango. We're all figured.
Okay.
We're all
Yeah.
richer for the experience.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, next one. Who was, thank you so much, Alex. Who was the first player from each team to win Rookie of the Year? Sean, you go first.
Well, I guess I would say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm gonna guess.
Good job, Sean. Coming up with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
Except it was Lou Alcindor at the time.
Okay.
Oh,
No,
oh,
I won't hold you up on that technicality.
All right,
Just
yeah.
so you know, I almost did that. And then I said, don't be rude. And we'll keep it at Kareem.
yeah. That's his real name, right?
Kareem.
Like when someone changes gender, we refer to them that way the whole
Exactly.
time. That's
It's interesting. My brother and I were just having this conversation last night watching the game because there were some statistic that Ayton did, compared well. And they put Lou Alcindor up on the screen instead of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I was like,
Really?
that feels, and that was exactly the conversation. Like, that's kind of like misgendering someone at this point, isn't it? Because that's
When
not his name.
That's right. When he tells you what his new name is, that's his name, right?
Exactly. And always has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, Brent.
I'm going to guess Walter Davis because that's like the first good Suns player I can think of.
You are inaccurate.
Is it Paul Westphal? Is it Dick Van Arsdale or Tom Van Arsdale?
It's Alvin Adams.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get that either.
Whoa.
Okay.
I wouldn't have got that either. I wouldn't have got that.
I
first.
totally forgot Alvin Adams
And-
ever played for the Suns. All right.
That was in 1976, and Kareem was in 1970. Okay. Who was the first player? So next slide. Who was the first player of the Bucks, Sean, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Is it also Kareem? I mean, I feel like he's. I'm getting a shake of the head, but that's what I'd go with.
No, you're just gonna answer Kareem the whole time. No, you've just earned yourself an O.
Yeah. Who was it?
It was Oscar Robertson in
Oh,
1980.
Yeah.
And that's tricky because he only played for us for like 3 years at the very end of his career.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's a hard
Well,
one.
he's a big deal.
I feel like, Brent, you might get this one.
I'm going to go back to Walter Davis.
Oh!
Or should I have gone Alvin Adams?
Or your other guess on the other one, which was Connie Hawkins
Oh, Connie. The Hawk.
in 92. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
God, there have been so many good Suns players. Wow.
We're so close. We're so close.
You know, we
Okay.
have the second best record overall of any team that has ever not won the NBA title. Like, we are the second best ever to have never won it.
Wow.
So we have all these great players, right? Yeah, tons.
Right? Okay, next slide. Sean, who's the coach for the Bucks?
Oh, start with the B. I don't know. I don't know. He looks like a nice dad.
He looks like
That's
Nelson
the
Muntz
answer.
from The Simpsons.
That's right. He looks like, he's like wears kind of puffy sweaters. He's a little overweight. He's maybe
Not the
not
puffy
the best
sweater.
coach, but like you could talk to him if you had a problem.
If you were to say B, lead into it, what would that be?
Oh, I don't know who it is. Yeah.
It's Mike Budenholzer.
Oh, okay.
Did I say that right, Brent?
Yeah. Well done.
Ayo. Okay. Brent, same question for you. Who is the
Uh,
coach of the Phoenix Suns?
I mean, I can see him. It's Monty Williams, right?
Yes!
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
job!
Yeah.
Good job. So
Everybody
Sean,
loves Monty Williams.
He's
Yeah.
great.
Sean earned an R, and you got that one right. So you both are tied HOR at the moment. Okay. Next question. There have been 2 women drafted to the NBA.
Oh.
What were their names? Sean.
No. Well, probably Becky, but I don't know.
Okay. Brent, your turn.
Nope. I'm not even. No, I don't know. And I'm ashamed that I don't know. I should.
I'm going to encourage you to do some research after you're done. The two were Louisa Harris and Denise Long.
Oh, not a Becky.
Nah. Nope.
So you both get S's.
Yeah.
All
We're
right.
gonna-
And deservedly so.
Deservedly so. All right, Sean, what year was the NBA founded?
64.
Brent?
These are hard questions.
Oh, yeah, I know.
1947.
You were so close. It was 1946.
Oh.
But I think that calls it. You have just earned your E. Sean wins the game of horse. Woo!
But he was wrong too. Why do I get an E and he doesn't get an E? It's because we ran out of questions.
Oh, okay, you know what? Forgive me. You are right. Sean didn't get the rest.
We're both
okay.
tied for awfulness.
Wait. I'll ask you one more
is-
tie break. One more
this
tie
is-
break.
This is what the Bucks versus the Suns is like two teams that like aren't very good at winning, trying to figure out like who will.
We don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Alex, don't worry about bringing up the graphic. I'm just gonna ask one last question because I think maybe this might be the deciding vote. Who is the richest NBA player ever, and what is their net worth? You have to get both.
Like from playing or like from like endorsements and post-career stuff?
I would say Jordan,
Okay.
and I'm gonna say like 23 billion.
Okay. You, Brent?
I am also going to go with Mr. Jordan.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say like 450 million.
Okay, so you both were right.
What is this question?
It's Michael Jordan, but he is worth 1.5 billion. So even with the extra bonus question, you both tie.
Both tied again.
Both are winners.
That's right. We both won.
That concludes this game of horse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chanel. That's amazing.
That was amazing.
And thank you to Alex for working those slides like a champ. Thank you.
Tremendous.
Wonderful job. Okay.
All right. So we should wrap it up quick because we went over time. Brent, what's your word you want to leave us with?
Optimistic.
Good.
And why?
Well, most immediately, I feel like we're going to win these next two games, but I'm also looking out a window here that's overlooking Lake Michigan, and it's a beautiful evening, which makes me feel good about the world. I feel good about where our industry is going, notwithstanding all the exhaustion talk we had before, and just feel like it's a great conversation. Had a good time hanging out with a couple rad people who are working for a company that feels super like-minded, and it's always nice to know that there's always that energy in the world. So yeah, I'm feeling full and optimistic.
Awesome.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on Hang in Focus Live. If you can see on the screen below, that is how you can see more that's going on at Milwaukee Chamber Theater. Please feel free to show patronage to their wonderful theater. And we thank you for being just the most fantastic guest. I love a good moment to do a little bit of trash talking, but then also like have a good, beautiful, heartfelt conversation. So thank you for being our guest.
I appreciate you both. Bucks and six.
You are.
Right. No way.
We're 2-0 right now, so you know.
We've been down 0-2 before. It'll be fun. It'll be good.
Thank you so much.
All right, friends.
Brent.
Thank you.
See
Take
you
care.
soon.
Let's toss it to the call board. Thank you. Thank you, Chanel.
Absolutely. Thank you. And sending it over to Alex for this week's call board.
Great.
Your call board for July 9th to July 15th, 2021. Hi, I'm Assistant Digital Producer Alex Hollis, and thank you so much for joining us today. Rashawn sat down with Brent Hazelton, Artistic Director of Milwaukee Chamber Theater. Be sure to join us next Friday, July 16th at 4 p.m. Arizona time for another exciting guest on Hang in Focus Live. Now it's time to find out what's happening in theaters around Arizona. Mesa Community College and Teatro Bravo are presenting Three's a Party. This online-only event is available to stream through July 17th. Check out more at teatrobravo.org or mesacc.edu/arts. Arizona Theater Matters is bringing us their summer festival with 4 full productions that are available to view online from now until July 31st. You can check out more at arizonatheatermatters.org. Now let's head down to Tucson. Invisible Theater is bringing us The Photographer Discloses, a one-woman show by local artist Gretchen Werges. This event is in person until July 10th. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, please tell a friend, pass it along, like us on Facebook and Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, ring that bell so you can be notified when we air live and to see our latest content. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you next week.